What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Clint's Hot Props. And that's right, we're going over UFC 315 and we're looking for the best props on the board. As I've explained to you guys before, we're going to target some of my favorite props on here. We're looking for accuracy. So if we're eating a little bit of chalk or if we're going with even money and it's not sexy, that's what we're doing. We're trying to get you cashers here on this show. Now, I will throw in a couple crazy ones now and again, but I've got to have an angle and a real belief that they're possible before I give them to you here on this show. We've done pretty well so far to this point. Let's see if we can sniff out a couple more props for UFC 315. Get subscribed if you haven't. Hit that like button and let's get into it. I'm ready to rock on the first fight of the night, you guys here. We've got Beexat taking on Brad Katona. And I like Beexat by knockout at plus 350, all right? I don't understand why he's getting plus 350 here in this spot. Brad Katona is tough. I get it. He's durable. He's a fighter's fighter. He knows how to decisionate his way to a win. I get it. But he's extremely hittable. We've seen him hurt. We've seen him busted up. And everybody can touch him. Lesser men can do that. Beexat is a KO specialist. This man almost put Umar Nurmagomedov on ice with a single shot. If you've got that kind of power, you're gonna be able to knock out a guy all the way down the ladder like a Brad Katona, okay? And I know we're in Canada and the UFC is supposed to lift up these Canadian guys, but they would love nothing more than to send Brad Katona tumbling down out of here. He's already been cut by the UFC. They gave him the Ultimate Fighter opportunity and he won on that, but they're not doing him any favors with the matchmaking whatsoever. I think the UFC understands they've got a fun, exciting, high-caliber fighter here in Beexat, and they're giving him Brad Katona as a way to make a lesson of him, as a way to put him on a highlight reel, and then really see what this Beexat kid is made of. Now, since he's been in the UFC for that UFC debut against Umar, Beexat's gone at some major gyms for training. Like, he spent time out at Tiger Muay Thai. He took a year off. He's 27 years old. He's going to get better. And on top of that, one of my favorite stats about this guy, he has multiple knockouts in multiple rounds. This is not a round one or bust guy. This is not a Vitor Petrino that if he doesn't knock you out in the first 3 minutes, all of a sudden your butt's clenching. This kid has 3 knockouts in round 3 and 4 KOs in round 2 over the course of his career. He carries his power late, he sets his opponents up, and it's a war of attrition with this guy on the feet. So don't be shocked at all. If it doesn't come early, it might be coming late. I kind of think it's going to be a round 2, round 3 TKO. I like Beexat. I like plus 350. I think that's a real good number. The next prop we should chat about here, Marc-Andre Bario and Bruno Silva. I kind of like Marc-Andre Bario by knockout at plus 250. It's not very juicy, and I think there's a reason for that. Now, we've talked about both these guys being on a skid. We know Marc-Andre just came off getting, knocked out. That's an issue, but Bruno Silva is literally out in the media talking about how he's got so much crippling anxiety that he doesn't want to be in there anymore. This guy doesn't want to fight. He's having problems getting in the cage, and he's on a 4-fight losing streak. Now, he's been losing by decision, granted, but Marc-Andre Barrio is not usually a decision guy. This guy will put you on your ass, and he will beat you to a pulp, and he will not get his foot off the gas until the referee steps in. And that's exactly the wrong kind of guy to fight if you're questioning whether or not you want to be in the cage. So when you've got Bruno Silva, who already has a weakness to getting taken down, who's already on a losing streak, who's already admitted he doesn't want to be in the cage, and he's probably 1 fight away from getting cut, if Marc-Andre gets on top of this guy and starts throwing elbows, he's just gonna cover up. I know he's never been knocked out before, and I know the way to beat this guy is by sub, but Marc-Andre Barrio is not normally a guy who goes for submissions very often, and he likes to use his fists, he likes to use his elbows. He'll get on top of this guy and just rain down punishment until the ref says that's enough, and I think that's what we're gonna see. So I don't mind the sneaky little shot here on the sub at 10-1, but I really think that Marc-Andre is just gonna come out and beat this guy until he quits, and he's this close to quitting. So for me, it's KO plus 250. Navajo Sterling and Ivo Erslan. I don't really like this fight, you guys. I will mention Sterling by knockout is minus 105. Kid does look like he's in the absolute best shape of his career. He's on the right vitamins for sure. I'm not entirely sure what we've got here in Ivan Erslan. I think he's got some grappling upside here potentially, but I think at the end of the day, Navajo probably finds his way to a KO. I don't have a ton of info for you on that one, you guys. I just wanted to make mention of it because it seems like the low-hanging fruit on the board. I'm probably just going to watch, especially with the way undefeated fighters have been getting finished and losing their O's in 2025. I'm not going to get too involved on that one, but I'd rather play the KO prop than the money line because it's a much better number. The one I do like, though, is Modestas Piccus and Ion Coutalaba. Coutalaba by knockout is plus 150. This is a similar situation here to what we were just talking about with Marc-Andre Barrio. The submission prop is 10-1, and while you think, hey, there's definitely some chance for this monster grappler who just got promoted to BJ Purple Belt to get on top of Modestas Bukauskas and submit him. And while I actually think that is a sneaky good angle, I probably would play inside the distance rather than picking a KO or a sub just because of that threat. He might flex those jiu-jitsu muscles in this fight. The way Ion fights is he just treats you like a heavy bag. He gets you on the ground and he just hammers elbows and fists and does everything he can to make the ref get in there and stop the fight. And we've seen Modestas Bukauskas has a cracked chin. Okay, this guy, it's been a while since we've seen it really kind of rear its ugly head, but he's fighting the bottom of the barrel in the UFC, so it's no surprise nobody's been able to crack him and make that kind of comeback to light. Ion Coutalaba is going to put hands on him. Coutalaba is going to come out there and hit Modestas with something big, and then I think we're going to go ahead and see that chin become an issue again. I think this is a safe spot for an inside the distance play, especially if you're getting, plus 125, plus 130. It's not that different from the KO number, and then you include that sub prop in it just in case. But I'm going to predict the KO. I think Ion probably mauls Modestas and then knocks him out in the second or the third round when he's tired of getting put on his back. Gondraj and Jazz Judicious. You guys, I think we're going to get a violent undercard for UFC 315. I like Jazz by knockout. It's plus 600. Now, I know this is where I'm flipping the script, right? Like, I should be going sub here. The sub is plus 250, and that makes sense. But what we've seen from Jazz is she likes her elbows. She likes the crucifix position. She likes to get on top of people and just beat them to a bloody pulp. She's the fighter where if Miesha Tate had the attitude of Jasmine, she would have won by TKO in round 3 in her last fight. That's what this girl does. She takes people down, she beats them up, she's mean, she's nasty. So because of that, she's looking for elbows, she's looking for fists. I know Jess Gondraj is tough. I know she's been submitted a couple times, but at 125, she's at a grappling and strength disadvantage, and Jazz loves the crucifix. Jazz loves to get on top of people and just start throwing bows. So I think this is going to be another referee stoppage type of situation. She might get the sub, so again, probably an okay inside the distance type of look, but I think it's going to be a knockout. I like Jazz round 2, round 3 TKO personally. Mike Malot and Charles Radkkey. Chuck Buffalo, the dog of the week. We bit this line movement here by a mile, you guys. I am loving the move I'm seeing here in the market. People are realizing Chuck Buffalo by knockout plus 275. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our boy Wheezy made a little tinfoil hat mention of Charles Radkkey by sub. I'm not buying it. I think Charles Radkkey is another guy who likes to work with his hands. He likes to beat people up, and Mike Malot has a suspect chin. Now, Mike does also have a suspect heart/gas tank situation, so what do tired people do? They tap. So maybe that sub is on the record here. Maybe we should just take a look real quick and see what those late round submission props are. Just for S's and G's, right? Just for funsies here. Sub round 2 is plus 3,500. Sub round 3 is plus 5,500. If you're a psychopath and you think that Charles Radkkey is going to go ahead and flex the improved submission game that he's got, that's the way to go. Personally, though, I think he's going to hit that left hook on Mike Malot's chin, and eventually that's going to just be the beginning of the end. I don't think he's going to grab a neck. I think his baseline is to punch people in the face, and we've seen Mike quit. We've seen him be chinny. We've seen him rocked and hurt. I think it's a knockout. And plus 275, that's another really good number to go ahead and get on that. Now, I said I think that it's going to be a very violent undercard at UFC 315. I think it's going to be a very boring main card. We've got extremely high caliber fights on the main card, and while some of these fighters might step up and really shock us with how much they've improved and their big performances, most of them I think are going to be very evenly challenged. I think they're going to be very competitive, and that leads to a lot of decisions. They might be in a little on the boring side for your casual friends who don't have enough alcohol in their systems. Get them a shot of Fireball or a white tea. Natalyia Silva by decision minus 160. I already have her in a parlay. I do think there is some finishing upside because we've seen she's capable. I'm not questioning this girl. She's capable of anything. But at the end of the day, I do think that it's a decision. And at minus 160, that seems like low-hanging fruit. That's a great way to bring the number down on her price tag. Alexa Grasso is tough, and I do think Natalyia will be the one kind of managing the range and the distance. If she gets the opportunity to go first instead of having to play the Matador the way she did in her last fight against Gondraj, then maybe there's more KO upside here than I'm giving her credit for, but I still at the end of the day think Grasso is probably tough enough to hang in there with her, and we'll see the decision minus 160 for Natalyia Silva seems extremely fair. The next one I want to talk to you about, guys, I'm going to skip 2 of them here because I don't have really great reads on them, and the numbers also aren't fantastic for you. Bilal Muhammad by knockout, plus 800. And you guessed it, we're looking late rounds. Round 4, round 5, TKO. for Belal Muhammad is 4,550 to 1. Now, Belal has done nothing but prove himself over and over and over and over again. And he's talking about coming out and striking with Jack Dela. There's a couple things to unpack here. Belal's a better striker than people give him credit for. Just point blank period, okay? I'm not saying he's better than Jack Dela, but I'm saying he could be, and people just do not even give him the flowers of being good enough to stand with a guy like Jack Dela. Jack Dela's been squeezing by his UFC level competition so far. I think the kid's got the ceiling to potentially be a champion, but I don't think he's even close to ready for this challenge at this point. This was supposed to be Shavkat's title shot. Jack Dela was not in the title picture leading up to this fight. He's being thrust in here, and maybe he is great. Maybe he is amazing, and he'll be able to go in there and take the title, and he'll be the new champion, and he'll knock out everybody's least favorite fighter, Belal, and he'll rip the title from his hands. Sure, it's possible, but I don't believe in fairy tales in MMA, and I don't think that he's ready for this. I'm going to side with the proven veteran, the guy who's just running the weight class right now without any signs of slowing down, with a country on his back, with all of the reasons to get in there and win. I'm going to side with Belal. So again, like I said on my podcast on Monday, you guys, if Belal truly believes that he's a good enough striker to outclass Jack Dela on the feet, I don't have any reason to doubt him. And I think the big thing people are missing here is that if he's not, he can always shoot a takedown. Like, he's not signing a contract that says, I will stand with Jack Dela for 25 minutes shooting 0 takedowns. Like, he's said he's going to come out and not shoot a takedown. But if he realizes, oh, that's a mistake, then he can shoot a double leg. Like, it doesn't mean he can't change game plans in the midst of the fight. He can always fall back on his primary skill. I don't know that Jack Dela can match the pace of Belal in the wrestling and grappling, or the striking for that matter, for a 25-minute UFC caliber main event fight. I will believe it when I see it. And so I do think there is an outside shot that this massive break in competition for Belal Muhammad leads to him being able to get a finish. He beat up Sean Brady and standing TKO'd that guy. I don't see why he can't do it to somebody like Jack Dela. I think Jack may not be there yet. I'm not saying it's the end of him. I'm not saying he's never going to hold a belt. I'm just saying I don't think it happens on Saturday. Now, I will go ahead and mention that Belal by decision is even money. It's minus 115, so it's right there. That's probably the way to do it, but I've already got him parlayed up, so any method of victory here for Belal is going to be enough for me as long as he gets his hand raised, and I think I'd rather take the long shot on those late round TKO props in case he really goes out there and sets the world on fire, because I'm that psychopath. I want to watch the world burn. Let's freaking go, Belal. Cash me a round 5 TKO prop at 50 to 1, why don't you? Let's do the damn thing. Let's roll.